Good evening. Markets soared across Europe today while the euro hit a 5-month high after the first round of the French election. Investors were relieved that the centrist Emmanuel Macron made the final round and that voters haven't been left with two Eurosceptic candidates. Well, here the FTSE 100 enjoyed its biggest one-day gain since last September, although in percentage terms it only did half as well as the CAC 40 in France. The German DAX rose to a record high, while in Italy the MIB put on nearly 5%. Our senior correspondent Michelle Clifford is live in Paris. So, Michelle, the market seemed pretty confident that Macron's going to win the second round. He still would have beat Marine Le Pen, though, hasn't he?
He has, but all the predictions are good, certainly all the way through the campaign. The polls were saying, and saying again last night, that if Marine Le Pen and Emmanuel Macron went through to the second round, that he would beat her hands down. The predictions now are that he'd get 60+%. So feeling confident, although Mr. Macron today was back at his party headquarters on March headquarters. He was taking nothing for granted. He said he can't be complacent, so he was galvanising his base again. He's got this amazing grassroots body that's working for him, and they're going to be going out there over the course of the next 2 weeks, trying to win the voters from the candidates who lost last night. And many of those candidates have fallen in behind Macron. The momentum seems to be with him. But Marine Le Pen is a formidable character and a formidable candidate. She hit the campaign trail today. She was pushing the narrative that Emmanuel Macron is simply Francois Hollande in another suit. And Hollande, of course, is a terribly unpopular leader of France at the moment. And she was also pushing the narrative that Macron is weak, particularly when it comes to Islamic extremism. And that is a narrative that does resonate with the French electorate, especially because of the attack last week.
All right, thanks, Michelle. Well, Anna Stupnytska is a global economist at Fidelity International. Anna, the polls got it right for once. Big takeaway from this.
Yeah, it's a big relief for markets. Well, firstly, because this the most disruptive market outcome, Le Pen versus Melenchon, has been avoided. But also, yes, the polls were right. And that means that the second round, where Macron is very likely to lead with a comfortable 20% or so, means that the tail risk of Le Pen, of the disruption in the European Union, is probably avoided.
Yeah, I think there's something like 6.5 million voters who went for Fillon or Melenchon or Armand, the other defeated candidates. I mean, Marine Le Pen's going to have to hoover up all of those votes to stand a chance, isn't she?
Most of the candidates, apart from Melenchon, actually have now endorsed Macron. So hopefully most of them will vote for him. But of course, there is still some uncertainty. I think it's too early to be relaxed. And in fact, a lower turnout, just as in the first round, a lower turnout could actually favour Le Pen in the second round.
So why is Macron being seen as so market-friendly? I mean, there are a lot of reforms. He wants to cut corporate taxes, for example. But what are the other real things that investors are hoping to see from him?
He is pro-business, pro-reform. He is pro-deregulation. And obviously, he is also pro-EU. And that's one risk that has been dominating the markets, the risk of Brexit and redenomination. But the real question is how much he's going to implement. And I think it's very important, of course, that he wins in the second round, but as soon as it happens, the focus will shift to the parliamentary elections.
Exactly, and he's probably not going to have... Well, he's a new party. He won't have a party behind him in Parliament, so he's going to have to work with the Republicans, with the Socialist Party. How's that going to play out, do you think? Yeah,
it's very unlikely that his party will get a majority, although we don't know, we will see. So he will have to have some sort of cohabitation with the Republicans or a minority government or some sort of arrangement with the Socialists. Actually, there is a range of outcomes and we don't know. But the fact of the matter is it's going to be quite difficult for him to implement all the reform that he is promising.
And of course, Marine Le Pen's going to be, the Front National could have 40 or so deputies in the French Parliament as well.
Yeah, I actually think the biggest risk is actually longer term. The French elections, 2022, if Macron doesn't deliver, then Le Pen will have a chance again.
So the euro's thrown an absolute party today, and biggest gain in 5 months. It's back. It's trading back to where it was against the US dollar in November last year. There we go. You can see it on the screen there. I mean, is that a permanent shift in sentiment, do you think?
I think obviously the growth story in the euro area has been improving, but markets have been held back to some extent, particularly the euro and fixed income, by this political uncertainty. So this risk premium is now getting priced out, so markets are doing well. And the focus, of course, is shifting to the ECB. And the view in the markets has been that the ECB will not be able to move towards normalizing policy until this risk is out of the way. And I don't think they are likely to do anything big this month, this week, in fact. But as we move into June, into the second half of the year, I think that they will start changing stance.
So why all these big gains in French banking stocks then? I mean, Credit Suisse, SocGen, BNP Paribas, they were all up by between 8 and 10% today.
Yeah, this is just based on expectations that finally this extraordinary accommodation by the ECB is coming to an end. They are expected to lay out a tapering plan, QE tapering plan over the next few months. And also there have been some signals from Draghi and other members of the ECB that they might consider hiking the deposit rate from the negative territory perhaps back to zero. And of course, this is a huge boost to banks.